Alright, so now it's time to sculpt. I'm going to open Zbrush, so this is open Zbrush, so most likely you'll see something like this. You go ahead and hide and exit out of all of the pop-up windows. And Zbrush is pretty finicky, so do not click and drag anything before you import your model. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our model. So I'm going to go to import. And we're going to go into demo, and then this is the file that we just exported. So this is Maya to Zbrush. Cool. We're going to open, and then now we have to click and drag it in, right? And immediately after we click and drag it in, we have to press edit. So now we are kind of in the 3D mode. If we don't do this, we're going to be in 2.5D mode, which is basically means you have to close the program, start over to be in 3D mode. So yeah, again, a little refresher, basic things. So clicking and dragging off of the model makes it rotate. Clicking and pressing option and clicking, that makes it pan, and then clicking option first and dragging makes it zoom as well. So and then if you press shift, it's gonna snap into an orthographic view. So I'm pressing shift and dragging my mouse. So yeah, so it's nice to know on the front and the side is. So it's pretty nice. So in Maya we made sure that our handle goes out from the front, and we can see that here with this man also does the same thing. So if we click on the man, we can also rotate our object in the orthographic views. You can also move, zoom, and rotate using these buttons. So you just literally press and drag, and then zoom, press and drag, and rotate, press and drag, same thing. So yeah, that's kind of just a basic refresher. So going into this, I already have a plan of what I'm gonna be doing. Since the pattern on my mug, and I have it right here, repeats, I thought that we're just gonna kind of deal with symmetry here, because there's a lot of things that repeat, and Zbrush is really good at sculpting symmetry. So first thing that we're gonna do before that is make sure that this mug is in the middle of the symmetry, so that this vertex of the mug is in the middle of the symmetry. So I'll show you what I kind of think about, what I'm talking about. So if you go to transform, and then you say activate symmetry, and this is radial symmetry, and I'm going to just go ahead and do y-axis. So here, and there's 8 different ones. So if you see now, my center is somewhere off center of the actual mug, so it's in the middle of these points, but it's off center of the actual place where I want it to be centered on. So what we're gonna do is deactivate symmetry again, click off of it. I'm gonna press to see our floor, so you can see that the middle of the floor is right there, so that's where the symmetry is coming from. So basically what we need to do, I'm also gonna click right here, draw polyframe. So this basically is kind of a wireframe mode. And I'm gonna go ahead and go in the bottom view, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click right here to move, and I'm going to move my mug roughly in the center, and basically eyeballing it to the middle of this point. So I'm gonna go just slightly down. Let's see if that did it. Oh no, slightly up. I need to go slightly up. Yeah, we're just gonna basically be working through this together. Okay, and if I ever am lost in my model, I can press F, and it's just gonna frame all of it for me. But yeah, I'm seeing that maybe, yeah, I need to bring it up just a little bit more, just a touch, and actually that might have done it. So cool. So now it's roughly, well, very close to being in the middle. I'm gonna press F. So now, let's see if I go back to draw. So I'm not gonna move anymore. I'm gonna draw, and I'm going to go to transform, activate symmetry, and there's that radial symmetry. Yep. Now you see that it is basically hitting everything. So the middle is where we want it, which is what we were going for. So that's great. Now I can zoom out and turn off the floor. We don't need it anymore. We know that we have a good model. Yeah. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into geometry tab, and we're gonna divide this a lot, because currently if we go here in the subtool and hover over, we only have 340 points, right? 364 polys, which is not a lot of geometry to work with. So if I wanted to sculpt on this now, let's just deactivate symmetry, right? It's just pulling these vertices, and we don't need that. So I'm gonna Command Z, just yeah, undo this. So we're going to subdivide our mesh 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times. So it has 6 subdivisions. And something that to keep in mind is that I left the smoothing on purpose. So now if I Command Z out of this and I redo this, like turn off the smoothing, and I say divide, it's gonna look exactly the same, but there's gonna be a lot more polygons under here, but it's not gonna smooth them. So kind of depending on what you need, you can do differently. Sometimes I smooth the first one, for example, smooth the second one, and then don't smooth the ones after or something. But this time I'm just choosing to just smooth all the way. So 6 subdivisions, all smoothed. Nice. So now we have, let's go into subtool, hover over, 90,000 polygons, which is pretty good. We might need more, but let's see how we do. So yeah, we see the polygons are pretty well seen still from here. So I actually might divide it one more time to 6. There we go. That's better. So every time you divide a model, it's going to split a face in 4 faces. So it exponentially grows. So it was 90,000. Now it's 360,000. So every subdivision after the next is becoming more and more expensive, if you may. But yeah, this is fine. Zbrush can handle 360 polys with ease. And because we created those beveled edges of the legs kind of stayed pretty nice and solid, which is good. That's what we want. So, all right. Now let's start sculpting. I'm going to turn off the poly view. Something that I like to do personally is here our material tab, excuse me, and I like to use the matte cap gray better when sculpting. The reason why is because the matte cap red, people say that it creates like an illusion of kind of being more extruded than something is, so the shadows are pretty harsh. So usually some people like to just model in matte cap gray, which I'm just gonna go ahead and do. And there's a lot of different ones you can try out, for example like this. So that kind of is different. There's metal, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'll just stick with matte cap gray for now. One thing that I'm seeing on the cup, my cup, is that right where the head is, right where kind of in this area, there's no markings at all, so it's pretty smooth. So what we can do is we can do masking. So the way you mask in ZBrush is by pressing Control and dragging. So that made a mask. So press Control and drag, that made a mask. In order to clear a mask, you can press Control and just press and drag away from the object, right? So this creates a mask and this takes it away. If you want to reverse your selection, then you press Control and click. So now I'm reversing the selection, right? So it's pretty easy, it's pretty cool. So the black parts of the mask you are not affecting. So if I was sculpting, it would stop sculpting at the black mask and just kind of pull up. Right, so cool. So I know that I want to just kind of roughly block out this area, and I see that it kind of ends kind of in the middle of this leg. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to turn on regular symmetry so that turn off the radial symmetry, turn on regular symmetry. I think I'm just gonna go with X. Yep, that's the one I want. And I'm going to Control and drag. I'm gonna Control drag from here because it's gonna be symmetrized anyways. So yep, till about here, just release, and that's mirrored on the other side. And now I have a nice oh, come and see, a nice mask. So nothing is gonna get sculpted on here. I'm looking at this mug and I'm seeing that there are 14 the big rhombus shapes. I'm not really sure how to call them. So including kind of the space that is masked out. So there's actually 11, but there would have been 14 if it would have gone all the way around, right? Because here you can fit 3. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my pen. I have my tablet, right? Make sure it works. Yep, it does. So I'm going to go into Transform, activate Symmetry, gonna do Y, turn off X, do Radial Symmetry, and do 14. So basically, what that allows me to do is I'm looking at the mug and I'm seeing it's roughly in the middle. I'm going to pick the clay buildup tool. It's my favorite. So the symmetry is really cool because you can just kind of go ham, right? It's nice, all symmetrical. We make sure it all works. Great. Yeah, I like the clay buildup tool because you can kind of, you know, draw on it and then draw with it and then press shift to smooth and smooth it out and stuff. So it's really nice to like put up more kind of material, smooth it out, put up more material, smooth it out, you know, it's a great tool. Yeah, so what I'm doing here is just actually trying to, I guess, adjust the size. So I'm gonna press S and then there's the slider thing and I'm going to adjust the size and I'm just gonna see how this looks. So this is all very, you know, artsy, so you gotta do it a couple times before it works out. Okay, that looks good. Repeat the same on the bottom here. So I'm just gonna roughly, so I can work on any of these, right? So I'm gonna just roughly, so here I'm smoothing. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through the whole process here in this tutorial just because, for the sake of time, because it's gonna be forever if I do. But yeah, so I'm actually seeing where I went wrong. I'm gonna do redo because it's actually hollow in the middle, so that's great. But yeah, just doing this, cool. And then the next thing above it, I'm going to go even smaller, and there are kind of these inverted triangles on this, on the top and on the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw those. So the cool thing with the pen is that you can change the pressure and change the amount that you're pulling something out. So now I'm doing very little pressure and then more pressure and stuff, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm trying to just to apply a little pressure nothing crazy. Try to match the markings on the mug. Cool. So let's say I like the way it looks. We're gonna do a lot of like smoothing and stuff after. We can actually maybe afford to even go one more subdivision high, because here I'm zooming in and it's pretty rough. So we might do that after as well. Cool. So we can see now it's all blocked over here. So that's great. Okay. The next thing are these half circles on the top and on the bottom. So those, let me count those. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So those, I think there's 18 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and say 18. And I'm just gonna wing them. I'm gonna wing them from the top. I'm seeing that there's a little bit of space from this kind of masked out area, and I'm just winging it. So I'm liking how this looks. It's pretty nice. Let's see how it looks like on the other side. Yep, it's pretty good. Cool. So yeah, just a general kind of suggestion of this. And then there's one on the bottom of each of them as well. So I'm gonna just kind of, try to achieve a mirrored look. It's great. Very nice. And then in the middle of these is another rhombus. So I'm just gonna, put it in there. Great. Cool. And the same thing goes on the bottom. Well, not the same thing, a little different. So we're gonna have these lines here, and then there is another half circle. Great. See how it looks on this side. I think I might have messed up the amount of them there because it's not quite lining up, but it's okay. It's just a tutorial. But yeah, so this on the bottom, and then I can see that there are these lines that go kind of from one of them to the other on the bottom, like this, kind of boom, 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 boom. That's what I'm gonna do. Cool. Then the last thing I'm going to do is the little tiny lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that there are 36 of those. Probably more, but let's see. Yep, there's probably 48 of those. But I'm going to make sure I'm going to just put 2 of these. Like that. Actually, no. I'm gonna make the brush smaller. I'm gonna give it justice. So let's see. Zoom in. There we go. That looks quite nice. Okay, let's see. And then on the bottom, same thing. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Okay. So now we kind of have a suggestion of our mug. Well, actually now I'm seeing that I've put this a little too low, so I'm gonna try to go more in the middle. So 1, I've got to make sure it's straight. So 1, 2, 3. Cool. Something like this. So it looks pretty good, but definitely not as clean as it could be looking. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, I think, subdivide it one more time. But first I'm going to smooth some stuff out. So I'm not going to do it in 32 mode because I only have 14 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to 14. And so as I'm working on one of these, I'm working on all of them, so I'm going to smooth them out. You know, kind of like this. Smooth them out. I'm going to go ahead and have another, do a flat brush, a flattening blur brush. There it is, flatten brush, so a little bit bigger. There it is. Just kind of flattening this out because it, in fact, is pretty flat. So I'm making sure. So smoothing, flattening. You know, so that it looks a little bit better. Again, this is still kind of the beginning of our journey here, so not everything has to be perfect right this second, but still, yeah, we want to make sure we try to do the best we can. Oh, what am I doing? There is more of these, so I said there's 18 of those, so I'm not going to mess with these until I change this to 18. So now they're gonna be worked on together. There we go, that looks much better. So yeah, smoothing, flattening. Another thing is when you're like really zoomed in into your model, here these lines on both sides, you can still kind of click and drag there to move around. Yeah, so it's kind of a little tip as well. So I'm going to smooth this out. That's pretty important because it just kind of gives illusion of coming straight from there. Oh no, actually I'm going to do that. Flatten this, just flatten it. Cool. And then the other one was 36. And I'm going to smooth these out just a touch. Just so there's a suggestion of where they're supposed to be. Nice. And going back to 18. And smoothing, flattening here. And here, smoothing, flattening. Smoothing and flattening. Okay, nice. All right, so it looks a little bit better. Again, I could probably spend a lot longer on kind of, you know, working on this, but for the sake of this tutorial, I won't. But I will still, because you guys get the deal, get how it works. So I will still go ahead and go into geometry and divide this one more time. Mesh with 3D subdivision stream. So this is so I think this might have to do with our mask. Let's see if I don't have a mask and I subdivide it. Yep. So alright. Because we have a mask, and if we subdivide this, it's gonna change. The program is saying that that's gonna change the mask. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to undo the mask and then redo the mask, but subdivide it still. So I'm going to go and take the mask off, subdivide it one more level, so now it doesn't yell at me. I'm gonna go back into transform, do the X symmetry. I'm just gonna put another mask on there. So actually make sure that it is right where it was before. So yep, we're pretty much set. So that's fine. Cool. So you're gonna run into little things like this and just try to figure out what's happening. But you know, there's always a way to figure it out. So now we have 1.4 million polygons, which is crazy. It went from 300,000 to 1.4 million, so now for sure we have enough to kind of work with our shapes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to clay builder tool and look how much detail you can get out of this now. I mean, it's incredible. So I'm going to go ahead and make the brush bigger and just, you know, well, turn on symmetry. Y symmetry radial 14. So I'm gonna be working on these. Right there. So just gonna do pretty quick and dirty again, just for the sake of time. I can do it smaller and make like a nice point here and on the other side, so that looks pointy, and then smooth it out. Smooth it out. Nice. And then same thing kind of with this. So I'm gonna basically outline what I already have. Make the brush smaller, make a point here, down here, and make the brush bigger. So I'm like always changing brush sizes, kind of going back and forth between tools, smoothing and drawing. So I'm gonna go down again on the brush size. Too slow, too low. But I'm just gonna try to match the shape. Boom, boom, boom. Cool, a little bit bigger. It's like a coloring book, basically. Okay. With the smooth brush, it's the same thing. The harder you press, the more it's kind of gonna smooth everything out. If you press really lightly, it's gonna be less effective. Nice. So then we can go ahead on to 18 and work on these down here. I'll actually go to one that faces me. Down here. Very nice. Fill it in. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and define this a little better. So it has a pretty pointy kind of edge. And then we can just fill it in. Make it a little bigger, smooth it out. Cool. Go up, do the same thing here. Gets pretty repetitive in this special case because, you know, it's a pretty geometric mug. In your case, it might be something completely different. But the tools are pretty much always the same when you make them. So. Nice. So now this rhombus right here. Nice. I'm just sketching out the outline again. Sketching in the inside. Nice. Last thing. 36. Radial symmetry. And we're just going to make sure that these are nice. Actually, I'm just gonna make my draw size bigger. Not so big. I could do it a million times over and it's not gonna be perfect, but nice. Okay, that's good enough. Same thing on the bottom. Nice. Okay. Tiny bit of smoothing. Mostly in the middle. Cool. Alright, so now this is looking much better than it was before in the other subdivision. So let's see what else we could do. We could kind of let's see, flatten again. So let me see. So this is the 36. So what if, so see, like the bigger the brush size, the more it kind of works. The bigger the area that it works on, so I could just flatten all of this out if I wanted to. But so I'm gonna be pretty careful with how much I do this. Make it a little bit bigger. So I'm just flattening out the middle. Let's see how it looks. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty close to the mug, which is what we want. Gonna go down to these. Same thing. Flatten them out a little. Nice. Yeah. Alright, quick save completed successfully. This is something actually that is good to talk about. I've been working on this for about 20 minutes and have not saved it, which is pretty bad. So we can go into File. And then save as demo, so I can say Lama mug demo. Save. So yeah, if your model ever disappears, just kind of click. I think it should reappear right away. All right, back into 14, and going to flatten this out. Nice. So see this kind of, you can see right away it looks much better. Flattened. Flatten a little more. Cool. Let's flatten a little more even. Nice. And then another is 18. And flatten these out. Nice. Just nice and flat. And getting down here. And flattening this out. Flattening this out. Smoothing. Nice, looks pretty good. So then working our way from here, another thing we could do is smooth out this just a touch. So whoops, so that it's not so harsh. But we can go, and there is this nice pinch tool, which basically pinches geometry that we can use to define our edges a little bit better. It kind of, yeah, I mean, does exactly what it advertises to do. Pinches the edges together so that it kind of, it's too big. There we go. It's good. Nice, pinch them together so that they're nice and straight. Let's see. So we can see here, there's an edge. That kind of starts showing. And I'm realizing now I have to do many of these because I've already started it with the 18 instead of 36, so I need to do 6 of these instead of 3. Nice. Okay. Cool. Going up there. Kind of doing the same thing. Just pinching the edges. Smoothing just a little. Pinching these edges. Nice and pinched. So I'm gonna redo it a little. Smooth it a little. So everything is nice and smooth but pinched. Nice. So, and then I'm going to go into 36 this time. 36. And just do the pinching on these little lines as well, just to kind of clean them up slightly. And go back to 14 one more time. Kind of snatching it all. Nice and pinched. Okay. And now the triangle on the bottom. And the last one. So can relax all of this a little. Again, probably would spend a lot more time on this to make sure it's cleaner, but just showing you this for show, basically. Okay, so here I'm seeing that this is not very flat, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into the flattening again and kind of make sure that it flattens out a little more. Wow, well, beautiful. Here we have our main kind of decorations. So one thing, again, I'm looking at the Lama cup. We're almost done, but one thing is that this line here is kind of started. Basically, there's a line here. So I'm going to control and drag to remove this, but I'm going to go into transform and deactivate radial symmetry, activate X symmetry. So now I'm sculpting, sorry. I am sculpting on both of these sides. So because I had a little mess up earlier with the mask, I think it's gonna be a little bit off from the real life. Just because actually I'm gonna go into lower subdivision level so that it's a little more easier to work with, I guess. Maybe subdivision 6. So this kind of, just goes up along here and goes all the way up here and kind of ends. So sort of like this. So yeah, this is kind of the effect that we're getting just by drawing one line. We're getting an effect that there's, you know, like this whole area is not raised. But let's see, what can we do to make it look just a little better? Let's see if we can go down and smooth some of this out. You know, this is me going pretty much off script as far as the actual mug goes. Also, if you do if you press option, and then you are actually taking away material, so that might be what I'm looking for as well, is to take away material instead of adding it. So option drag to kind of dig into it with that same brush. Dig in and smooth. Let's see what it looks like on this side. Pretty good. Need to turn off my symmetry. So if I press X, and I turn on and off, turn the symmetry on and off. Cool. So this looks nice. Okay. Looks better than it just did a second ago. Just gonna smooth this out and dig in here a little so that it looks like there is an intentional gap between here. You know, and then I'm going to, you probably guessed it, pinch the edges. So I'm going to go into pinch mode, have the symmetry back on, so you just have to do it once. Go right over here and see if I can make this into a nice sort of pinched edge. And I'm gonna go up to the highest subdivision, and here we can see some problems because there's still stuff left over from our sculpting that we need to kind of take care of. Smooth this out, pinch this edge, smooth it out. Yeah, I'm just looking for that nice edge. Let's see. I'm gonna turn off the symmetry because I'm working here because it's not symmetrical. Pinching, smoothing, and pinching. Nice. Okay. Cool. Alright, so you can also smooth it a little so it's not super harsh. There we go. So that's kind of the body pretty much done. Because we unwrapped this in Maya, I would not want to mess too much with the integrity of the actual shape of the model. So for example, we could go into, if we wanted to, if we haven't unwrapped it already, in the move topology tool and just completely, you know, move this stuff around. That's all very kind of flexy, right? We don't want to do that because that's going to stretch our UVs. So kind of working with constraint, I guess, is one of the things we're doing here. We can maybe, there's a brush called Inflate. They're all alphabetical. Right here, I'm gonna press on symmetry and maybe we'll inflate a little bit, which that is okay to do. Just a touch so that it looks, I'm gonna smooth, inflate, literally just a touch, like that, just to make it look a little more like the thing. But yeah, we're basically done with the sculpting part of this. I can show you, well, yeah, we're done with the sculpting part of this. So cool, the next thing is going to be exporting this into Substance Painter and texturing it. So this is the end of the sculpting video.